Hi. Hi. I want to welcome you to my first Q&A about post-traumatic growth. Actually, as I was preparing for this, I realized that the phrase that what happened in live video. Oh, I guess it's okay, sorry. The phrase that I really want to use for this is post-traumatic transformation. And I realized that it's a really powerful way, an accurate way to sum up what my focus is as a energetic and trauma therapist. So, what this is about, what post-traumatic transformation is about harnessing energy that's trapped in and consumed by traumatic effects and the traumatic reactivity and in our patterns and our beliefs and our behaviors to expand into our radiant divine essences and soul sovereignty. Each month I'll take questions and share more about what's possible when we commit to the admittedly hard work of emotional healing and growth. But it is a journey so well worth the effort that words can't quite describe it. All right. I'm doing this on the heels of having done 2 Q&As on Facebook about the Wisdom of Trauma series with Gabor Mate, and realized that this was a way that I could contribute to the community, the wider community, in ways that hopefully are of service and effective and loving service in whose ever lives they're meant to touch. I wanted to start this first one, because of timing, with an emphasis on Thanksgiving and the issues that many people have with challenges around the holidays. And knowing and the way it ties into post-traumatic transformation is that the more we let go of whatever the charge, the pain, the residual emotional stuff from the past, that all that energy, like I just said a moment ago, all that energy then frees us up to be able to have much more powerful experiences, much more balanced, centered, wonderful experiences, and free ourselves. And that is transformation. So this is really about transforming perhaps our relationship to the holidays. And we start with Thanksgiving. And this Thanksgiving is a particularly challenging Thanksgiving. As a therapist, I know that many people have issues with trauma or have had issues with trauma in the past, have difficult times around the holidays for any number of reasons. And so I'm going to be doing a tapping sequence here, actually, and I will include in that numbers of those things, as well as some of the challenges that we are particularly facing in these times with the polarization and the vilification and the incredible, almost insane level of fear that has commandeered our functioning in this world. And the way that it's impacted families, sometimes, maybe more than just sometimes, unfortunately, causing disruptions, causing rifts, causing more discomfort than was already there. And I think that generally speaking, we could say in healthier families, i.e. less traumatized families, people are better able to weather the challenges that are being posed through these times. And they're better able to weather them together. People who come from families where there's more disruption, more dysfunction, used to say more trauma, there tends to be greater splits in those connections. And so this tapping is for anybody who that calls to. Additionally, many people have lost loved ones over the years, these now more than 1 year, right, since the COVID days started, whether from COVID or increases in other health issues. People are struggling more. Many people are struggling more in so many different ways, with life purpose, with jobs and future, and feelings of anxiety and depression. We all know, and yet I think we often numb ourselves to it. So I bring it up just to help us recognize that. I think that it's really important to be in touch with what is painful, to not try and sidestep it, to not try and bypass it, right? To find a way to be compassionate, empathic in that, and yet be able to keep ourselves or help ourselves lift ourselves up to a level of compassion, a level of empathy, beyond the fear, beyond the polarization, so that we can be lights in the world in the midst of everything that we're going through, because we are all going through this together. Okay. All right, so without further ado, I will do this for a few minutes. If anybody has any questions that they do want me to answer, please do that. And if I notice the questions, then I will save some time at the end to answer them. Okay? All right. All right, so I'm just gonna start tapping. Most of you probably who will be looking at this already know tapping, already have done it. You might do it a little differently than I do it. But even if it's new to you, it's pretty easy just to follow along. Keep your eyes open, see what I'm doing, and follow along. Oftentimes what we do is have a phrase, say a phrase. I would state a phrase, and I would have people doing this with me repeat that phrase. I'm going to be bringing in a fair amount of information in a short amount of time. And so I just want you to feel, as you hear the words that I'm saying, just feel inside of yourself. We don't have to think. We don't have to stop and think about anything, but feel what gets evoked. Notice what's happening inside, and make a commitment to yourself now before you begin to do everything that you can to be open to releasing whatever the charge is, whatever the upset is, whatever the old patterns and fears and beliefs are, so that you can move forward in this holiday season in perhaps really surprising ways, creating for yourself an experience that's more light and love filled, no matter what your situation. So I always start with a nice deep breath in through your nose, and hold that breath, and then breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, hold it, and then drop it out through your mouth. Just letting go of charge and tension and stress and tightness and old energy, residual energy, smoke, dirt, whatever, however it comes to you inside. We're freeing ourselves. We're doing real work here, real work, and it's powerful work. Oh, in through your nose one more time. And then just let go from everywhere inside. I've been doing this for a long time, so I know that making sounds and moving my body actually really do facilitate the release of this old energy. So might be something not everybody's comfortable with yet, but it really does add to the experience. Okay, here we go. So, even though I feel these challenges in the upcoming holidays, I am going to love myself and find my way through them with greater peace and joy, greater sovereignty and light. Even though there are so many things that are associated with the holidays, maybe perhaps with Thanksgiving in particular. Maybe right now it feels like it's a hard time to be thankful because there's so much in the world that is so straining with difficulty and challenge. And yet I choose to remember that even in the greatest challenges, the more light I bring forth still brings more light into the world. Okay, another deep breath. And then we're going to come to the top of our heads. One of the things I love to have people do here is to pause. And in the pausing, consider the possibility, see if you're willing to choose, to open yourself inside, open the layers and levels of you to the divine, to that which is pure and holy and unconditionally well-intentioned towards you. So the parts of you that you may hide away even from yourself, invite them to open up to this light which is everywhere around and within us. When I realized that we are the ones that close ourselves off from spirit, not intentionally, but we're the ones who create the separation, that spirit is always here, always ready. That felt so important and empowering to me, and so I love to share it with everybody. All right, invoking and commanding their assistance, their healing assistance and their guidance with you now. Eyebrows. Take my glasses off, it's a little easier. So even though I have whatever challenges I have over the holidays, maybe I feel lonely and sad. Maybe I feel really triggered and uncomfortable being around people. Maybe it feels really stressful to me, all the trimmings and trappings and the getting ready and wanting everything to be right. Even though I may be concerned about my interactions with different members of my family and wanting it to go well, hoping and praying that these connections, if we are in fact making them or there is space for them, that they go well on the sides. And bringing to awareness any losses that we have suffered over this period of time of COVID. And we've all suffered losses, whether they're actual losses of loved ones who've passed beyond in who knows what sort of situations, especially early in this experience, they passed into the next world in. Underneath your eyes, and whatever sickness and illness people are struggling with now, and the losses of jobs And maybe not just for you, maybe not even for anybody in your family. But I invite you to open to some level of awareness of the world of suffering, of the millions of people who've lost jobs, above your lips, of all the ways that our patterns have been disrupted, that people work from home and mothers of small children have been so overburdened in trying to do the best for their beloved children. Below your lips, and the ways that the stress of all this has increased, everything that are indicators of trouble, in the land, like addiction and suicide rates and anxiety and depression rates and health issues. Children born and struggling more to meet developmental markers to develop intellectually, to people not having enough food, people not having good enough food, people falling behind because of all the disruption in education. There's so much. And I obviously am inviting people to let yourself feel it at whatever level you can, so that we can open up to and participate in the universal, like one heart, right? One love, one light. We're all in this together. We're each walking ourselves, each other home, right? And sometimes some very, very strange and disturbing ways. And sometimes some glorious and beautiful and inspiring ways. Collarbones. And then there's all the further disruption, tearing of family dynamics. People not being able to hear each other, or not being able to listen, not even being willing to listen, and the kind of pain and loneliness that's causing. And so it's a lot. Part of me wants to say, I'm sorry for bringing all this up. And yet, it feels really important to me to bring it all up, so that we can release it, so that we can feel into the larger reality of what's happening. We are a microcosm of this larger reality. We can feel into that. And as we are releasing, we're releasing not just for ourselves, we're releasing for our loved ones, for our friends, for all our acquaintances, the people in our community, in our countries, in the world, for the whole of us. Top of your head. So even though we're facing all these challenges, personally and collectively, that are affecting how we're moving into this holiday season, to this Thanksgiving celebration not even a week away, we're going to release all the charge and the stress and the strain that we safely and comfortably can, remembering that the divine is with us here, helping us to release and to grow strong in the releasing. On the sides, to gather up the energy, whatever emotions have been called up, to release those. You can release those on the out breath. Tapping on these meridian points also releases this charge and brings our energetic systems back into balance, bringing the whole rest of our systems, subsystems, back into balance. And yet knowing too that we can add to this by breathing it out below your lips. Always letting go, reversing those age-old patterns of holding on, collarbones of pushing down, on the sides of closing off and isolating, separating in fear and mistrust. Wrists so that we can open in strength, in feelings of empowerment, feelings of courage, feelings of our own personal sovereignty, right? Coming closer to reaching our own true selves, speaking our own truths, learning what our own truths are. And so continuing to breathe out all that gathered up energy, all that gathered up charge. You can feel it, the sensations in your body. There's so many different emotions that are brought up by all of this, and I'm going to go through and just name them, because this is a very powerful way of helping you to release what you're not even consciously aware of is there. So choosing to be open and choosing to trust that it is safe for me to do this. Choosing to trust that I am safe and that I can trust myself. That I won't open up more than is safe for me, right? More than is good for me. So I can let go and trust this process. Trust that I will come through it stronger, freer, lighter, and brighter. And release the feeling in my gut when I think about the holidays, when I think about what's happening, when I think about any of this. Release the clenching in my heart, right? The tightness in my shoulders and my jaw, top of your head. Releasing the charge throughout my nervous system. Eyebrows, releasing sadness and sorrow. Regret, remorse. On the sides, releasing this feeling of being trapped. Perhaps this rage and fury about what's happening to humanity. Feeling of powerlessness to change it. We might even feel powerless to change the dynamics in our own family. We might even feel powerless to change the dynamics within us, but none of it's true, none of it's real. The fear is real, but we can transform it all. Underneath, releasing all the fear and the anxiety, the trepidation and the dread, the worry, not just about ourselves and our families, but worries about the world, worries about our country and people celebrating Thanksgiving with less to celebrate it with than they've ever had before. Releasing that feeling of devastation. Releasing feelings of insecurity and uncertainty. How then shall we live is a question that walks with me now. We can release insecurity and uncertainty and open up more to being intentional about how we shall live. Blow your lips. Letting go of shame. Maybe because of some of what I've said, people feel survivor shame or feel the shame of entitlement when obviously not everybody's entitled, right? Not everybody's granted entitlement in this country, in this culture, and most culture, where many of us are mourning the most recent finding of innocence on the part of yet another police officer who killed a beautiful young boy, beautiful young man. releasing despair, discouragement, feelings of being disheartened, maybe even hopelessness. It'll never change. It'll never change. It's only getting worse. Then I don't believe that's true. I believe that the light is straining the shadow, and the shadow is reacting, and the light is going to prevail. And we can all be a part of that. On the sides, releasing guilt and blame and judgment, and stepping out of that whole space that we're so programmed to be in, to blame other people, to act out our pain on others, to hold in our pain and act it in on ourselves, to release anger and resentment, frustration, intolerance, aversion, that hard, sharp charge. Breathing out. And so we can let in more light. That no matter what, we are more free inside ourselves to choose what we want to be thankful for, to find what we can be thankful for underneath your eyes, to choose, to look, to gather evidence of the wondrousness of the universe, no matter what. To open our hearts in gratitude. Gratitude does open our hearts, and probably everybody listening to this now knows this. Of feeling that gratitude, feeling that light, fill our hearts like our own inner suns. And opening up the possibility for us to experience awe. We can feel grateful and thankful at Thanksgiving. We can also feel awe. We can choose to rise up to the level, the vibrational level of experiencing awe for the wondrousness of life, even in the midst of all the terrible challenges of it, right? And the more we allow ourselves, we give ourselves permission to feel awe, to even consider it as a possibility for ourselves, the more light we bring into the world, and the more light there is to dissolve the shadow. So, opening yourselves up, feeling that openness inside. See if it feels different now, and opening to light and love. Letting color and light sparkle down, shimmer down in through you, filling up all the open spaces, freed up from the release of all that old charge. Filling ourselves up, continuing to fill ourselves up. The amount of light that we can fill ourselves up with is unbounding, actually, unbounded. And so fill up to the point that feels comfortable. And then use the tapping to seal that light in. Hold that in, hold it in your belly. Feel it in your belly. Feel it in your solar plexus. Feel it in your heart. In your third eye. Radiating from the bottoms of your feet and the tops of your head, or the top of your head. And feeling yourself move into this holiday season, and especially this Thanksgiving, freer than you felt before, allowing for the possibility of new possibilities coming to mind, allowing for the possibility of the ways the divine is already working to create miracles in your life, perhaps small miracles, but miracles nonetheless. And so look for them as you go through your time now. Look for miracles, look for the light, look for what's beautiful and holy and precious, right? And all of that will help you move through whatever shadow comes at you. It'll help you be in a space protected and loving, strong and much more secure, and never to experience the holidays in the ways you have before, because you have already been transformed within you. And so coming up to the high heart, taking a couple of nice deep breaths in, and then breathing out more residue, more charge. Another nice deep breath. Excuse me. All right. So feel how you feel inside yourself now. And send love from this place, from Source, through you, to all the people in your life. To everyone around, and to the whole world. And with that, I wish you a blessed and awesome Thanksgiving. Be well, everyone.